Divine Doctor, Chapter 4, Personal Pharmacy. Me? What about me? She became very unhappy and pointed at the pair of injured legs. If you have no intention of pardoning those that have harmed you, then you have no right to accuse me of any wrongdoing. Bad deeds have always been repaid in kind. If they don't harm me, what bad deed would I commit? Never before had he been spoken to and treated in this way. She did not grovel, nor did she try to curry his favor, nor did she show any courtesy or respect. She had her own ideas and wouldn't hesitate to boldly retort. When he would say something, she would retort and leave him speechless. Seeing her pouting angry face, with cheeks puffed to the point of bursting, the man's angry expression quickly became a smile. As his lips curled up ever so slightly, looking toward the already visible stream, he asked, "Are we going?" Feng Yu Heng dropped to a seated position on the ground. Not going, tired. The two, sitting side by side, watched the fire from the mass grave slowly start to die down. It seemed there were almost no more corpses left to burn. At this moment, a couple of shadows danced on the rocks near the crevice they had just departed. They belonged to a couple of people who appeared to be looking for something. Feng Yu Heng stood up, eyes glistened as they looked around for a while. She then looked towards the person next to her. "Hey, they're looking for you, right?" The man replied, "Why can't they be looking for you?" "How's that possible?" Feng Yu Heng's demeanor became slightly erratic at the thought of this possibility. "My mother is very ill and cannot get out of bed. My little brother is but 6 years old. The other villagers want to harm us or avoid us." She pointed at the shadows and raised an eyebrow. Her pink lips slightly puckered. She tilted her head enigmatically. She exuded an air of profound wisdom. "They went straight for the mountain crevice. They definitely knew you were there." The young man sluggishly raised his eyes and looked at Feng Yu Heng's aloof yet clever appearance. This girl was extremely amusing, truly quite amusing. Ceasing this line of thought, he gently raised his right hand. Using his index finger and thumb, he whistled loudly. The two people quickly came in their direction. It was a young man with an elderly gentleman over 50 years old. The elder was carrying a medicine kit on his back, so he should be a doctor. The young man had a full set of black clothing, with a sword at his waist. He was clearly a bodyguard. After seeing the man in the brocade, he visibly let out a sigh. "Young master, you moved." The subordinate feared something bad had happened. The bodyguard reached out to the out-of-breath old man and pushed him forward. "This is a doctor I found in the capital. Let him see to young master's wounds." The brocade-wearing man nodded, glancing at the doctor. "I'll be troubling you." The old man wiped the sweat from his forehead and said, "I wouldn't dare." In saying so, he hurried forward to inspect the injuries. Only then did the bodyguard set his eyes upon Feng Yu Heng. He furrowed his brows, asking, "Who are you?" "An arsonist," the brocade-wearing young man responded for her. Feng Yu Heng raised an eyebrow. "Which eye of yours saw me start the fire?" "Both my eyes saw it." "Young master," the old man began, "your kneecaps have broken." These few words attracted everyone to examine the legs. The brocade-wearing man nodded. "I know, sir. Do you know how to set broken bones?" The old man hesitated briefly, then immediately responded, "I do indeed know how, but doing it causes a great deal of pain. I am afraid a normal person couldn't handle it. This old man was," he looked at the bodyguard, "was on the path to visit a patient when this little brother grabbed me and brought me along. This medical kit only has some common medical supplies. There is no anesthetic." If there's no anesthetic, then you might die of pain, Feng Yu Heng added coldly. The old man agreed. Further, in addition to setting the bones, the flesh in the area must first be scraped clean. The area this old man is looking at is already swollen. I worry. This mountainous abandoned region. How about letting this little brother carry you, then follow this old man back to the clinic in the capital? No, the brocade-wearing man firmly denied it. Just do it here. The old man repeatedly wrung his hands. Oh, no, there is no anesthetic this kind of injury. This old man does not dare to treat. Chapter 5. Who exactly are you? Feng Yu Heng did not want to continue listening to their argument. Her 2 hands folded inside her loose sleeves. She felt a little warmth spreading when she caressed her right wrist. All of a sudden, she saw something that she could not have seen. The private pharmacy that she had opened in a provincial capital. A 2-story pharmacy that had both Chinese and Western medicines. It also had the standard for sale crutches, wheelchairs, and other simple medical equipment. It looked no different from any 21st century pharmacy out there. New medicines, special medicines, and everyday medicines were all available. The only difference was the presence of special medicines used by the Marine Corps and some half-completed medicine. Feng Yu Heng tested and found that she could easily take things from the pharmacy with just her thoughts. She was momentarily shocked. Subconsciously, she moved her legs and left the pharmacy. Such an odd discovery would need a quiet, isolated place for further inspection. At the moment she moved her feet, a sudden cold feeling covered her neck. An ice-cold sword came straight towards her. Don't move. The voice belonged to the bodyguard. Feng Yu Heng truly did not dare to move. This belligerent imp truly is one of King Yama's. While she could talk her way around a young master's conscripts, this sort of rash fellow's brain was not very bright. It's not like his sword had eyes either. She shifted her eyes towards the icy cold sword, its cutting edge so sharp it could cut any hair blown its way. Apologies, young miss. Regardless of your identity, your mistake was being here and seeing my house's young master. As the words came out, the sword point struck out, piercing a rock. Feng Yu Heng obviously would not stand around waiting to die. However, before she could move even a step, a ding sound rang out, followed by a clang, as the sword struck a rock and fell to the ground. Young master! The bodyguard turned to face the brocade-wearing man and knelt. Please, calm down, young master. The brocade-wearing man waved his hands. She is just a girl. Leave her be. But what if word gets out? Baizi. The brocade-wearing man's appearance calmed. I do not wish to repeat myself. Yes, the bodyguard named Baizi lowered his head. Feeling around, he picked up his sword, afraid to speak again. Feng Yu Heng glared briefly at Baizi, then looked to the side, where the helpless old doctor continued to observe the injured man. With a solemn voice, she opened her mouth and said, You should learn more from your young master. If you want to kill a witness to silence them, first make sure they aren't of use. The profession of being a doctor is not well understood, nor is it transparent and simple. If they have some trifles, a random movement here or there, and both of his legs could become completely worthless. Don't overreach your bounds! Baizi fumed with anger. The brocade-wearing man let out a chuckle. So knowledgeable at such a young age, Baizi, you could learn from her. What she said is correct. Young master! Say no more, he cut off Baizi and looked towards Feng Yu Heng. Go ahead and go home. Wasn't your mother still sick? Feng Yu Heng stared at him for a while, her eyes unwilling to shift from the purple lotus on his forehead. Why else would it be said that a man shouldn't become too handsome? With someone this handsome, it's easy for some girls to lose their principles. Well, let me help you a little. With the words spoken, Feng Yu Heng slapped herself internally. Safeguard your identity. Do you understand what that means? The world does not revolve around one person. How do you want to help? The brocade-wearing man did not give her a chance to retract her words. Feng Yu Heng did not look at him, nor did she glance at his forehead. Instead, she reached into her sleeve and used her mind to collect a spray bottle of anesthetic. This originally was not made for mass sale. Instead, it was made specifically for the Marine Corps, so that emergency surgeries could be performed. She had taken a case of it back to her pharmacy. The plan was to sell it at a high price. Who knew the thief who stole it would die before the sale could happen? Of course, first is relieving the pain. Feng Yu Heng shook the bottle in her hand and glanced at the old man. Elder sir, if you witnessed it earlier, they intend to kill me to remove any witnesses in order to keep their whereabouts secret. The old man was already frightened. However, upon hearing her words, he snapped. He collapsed to the ground and trembled. Feng Yu Heng looked towards the man in the brocade. Say something, a promise, or something like that. Swear that not only will we not be harmed or killed, but the matter of my helping you must also not be spread. Baizu's heart tightened with these words. He asked, Who are you? Feng Yu Heng pretended to be helpless. I am just a girl from a mountain village. I ran into a Persian eccentric who gave me some nice things. Today I'm using these nice things to save your house's young master, but I don't wish for others to know I have such things on hand. Understand? Baizi pondered for a while, then nodded. Understood. The brocade-wearing man stared at the bottle in her hand, his eyes showing an inquisitive look. However, seeing how Feng Yu Heng had no intention of saying anything else, he turned his head towards the old man and said, Elder sir, just treat me as a normal patient. After treating me, Baizi will take you back to where you need to be. I will not harm your life. Is that true? The old man is hesitant to believe. As long as the incidents of this night are not leaked out, then it is true. I did nothing tonight. I went out to see a patient and got lost. I got lost. Feng Yu Heng knew that there was no way to see if a guarantee was real or fake. The only choice were to believe or not. She did not bother to consider whether the one named Baizi would really escort the old man back or if he would kill him halfway there. Either way, they had to first treat his legs. After treating his legs, she would need to return to the small village. The body's original owner's mother and her little brother were waiting for her. Let's get started. She didn't say more and half knelt towards the brocade-wearing man. She might as well take care of tearing the cloth around the wound. Do you have alcohol? She asked while looking at the wound. The old man quickly opened his medical kit and took out a small bottle. A little embarrassed, he said, Normally I enjoy a few swigs, so I always have it on me. This isn't a bad habit. Feng Yu Heng received the bottle, then unabashedly began giving orders. Baizi, go fetch some clean water. Baizi looked at the man in the brocade, who nodded his head. Turning towards the stream, he took off. Upon returning, he had a broken jar of unknown origin half filled with water. He then carried it over to them. Feng Yu Heng received the water, then ordered without raising her head. First, rinse the wound with clean water, then use the alcohol to disinfect it. It will hurt, so bear with it. Without a trace of doubt, the brocade-wearing man said once again, No problem. She blinked a few times. Actually, her pharmacy had rubbing alcohol, but she had no way of getting the bottle out. A child's sleeve was not that large. Also, taking out too many things would arouse suspicion. Well, we're starting, Feng Yu Heng said no more and carefully began cleaning the wound. Clean water, apply alcohol, disinfecting completed. Baizi found a wooden branch and gave it to the man in the brocade to bite on. Feng Yu Heng waved her hand. No need, take it away. Keeping it in the mouth is dirty. Baizi ignored her and said, Scraping flesh and mending bone is not that simple. I know. She shook the bottle in her hand until it was ready. She pointed it towards the knees and sprayed. The spraying sound, along with the mist, surprised them all. The brocade-wearing man displayed considerably less shock. Only his eyes displayed some curiosity. The other two had cried out in shock. "What is this?" Baizi arose, slightly on guard. With one hand, he grabbed hold of Feng Yu Heng's wrist, preventing her from spraying it again. "What drug did you use on my house's young master?" "An anesthetic," she directly said the truth, then spoke to the brocade-wearing man. "Feel for a bit. Is it starting to go numb?" The drug took effect quite quickly. It took, at most, a few moments before the localized anesthesia took effect. The brocade-wearing man also felt amazed. It seemed in just a moment both knees started to feel numb. The pain quickly followed and disappeared. Further, this medicine had a great effect. The areas where there were wounds, the pain had gone, but the area without wounds retained their sense of touch. He looked once again towards the bottle in Feng Yu Heng's hands, noticing his slight embarrassment. After the treatment of your wounds, if there is any remaining, then I'll give this to you." He was very straightforward. "If so, then many thanks." "It's your turn." Feng Yu Heng gave the old man a gentle shove. "Go ahead and remove the dying flesh."